The opening montage, courtesy of our guy Cody Merrow, always gets us pumped up. But you know what else gets us pumped up? When one of us picks the winner the week before, and that's exactly what happened here at Cash Out with the Coaches. Welcome to the show. Valspar is this week. Travis Fulton, you got to just be doing this because you predicted successfully Cam Smith, Mark Leishman, straight to the pay window. Hello, sir.
Hello, how you doing? I'm feeling good. You could barely fit my head through the door.
And I'm good with it because I rolled with you. It was amazing. The finish, the playoff, and it's always fun when you pick a winner because it's so hard to do. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, we're only picking one here, right? We're not, issuing the full card, which we have multiple winning tickets usually, or at least I do. But yeah, it's nice.
What a shot.
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm saying we only pick one winner here, each of us.
Correct.
The show, but then we'll bet some other, win tickets for the tournament.
Yes.
But yes, that reminds me, that was my second winning ticket here on the show since we've been doing it.
You are
But it felt good. I was nervous because, Cam Smith got a little tight, I thought, down the stretch. And he hits it in the water. Leash, what a shot. He chips it in for birdie. That doesn't go in, they don't win.
No.
And then, I thought Leash was kind of the class coming in between the four. And then, of course, Louis just, blows it in the water there in the playoff hole. And I was texting you. I saw Charles teeing it up. I'm like, are they playing best ball? But he had to hit us. He had to hit from there.
It was kind of on brand for Cam Smith that we've seen him the reason we're so high on him because he can go out and shoot a 63. But then how many times have we seen him? Just last week, he blew up and shot a 75 or 76. So when he went in the water, it didn't surprise me. But Leishman coming through in the way that he did, and yes, the chip on 16 was humongous. If people didn't see it, they drove the green, went over the green, and then went in the water. Bad break. They had a drop and then chipped it in for 3. It was an amazing birdie at an amazing time. They split $1.6 million. So each brings home $800,000. And certainly a big win for their confidence. But now moving forward, as we handicap, Travis, we've got to keep an eye on these two guys because now they have money in their back pocket and they can kind of freewheel it the rest of this season.
Yeah, well, Cameron Smith, we talked about it last week. I think he's playing the best golf of his career right now. Mm-hmm. His iron game is good. His short game is good. His putting is good. Leishman kind of comes and goes. He's that player that, when he does get in the hunt, he's not scared. I think he can elevate his game. He's won 6 times now on the PGA Tour. Certain courses fit him. He's a really good iron player, and he can putt. So, I think we'll see. We'll hear from them again, I think, throughout the year. But we're getting ready now, I think, to get into a nice stretch of golf. We got a good field this week in Tampa, and then, of course, we go to beautiful Quail Hollow, a little tournament called the PGA Championship coming up. This is going to be a good run, Coach. So we've got our momentum. We've got some tickets. We're cashing like 4 or 5 tickets now. Seems like every single show. Throw a winner in there. Feel like we're getting our groove here, man.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We are certainly getting our groove in. And this is what I call the show of record in the golf betting space. And before we get to previewing the Valspar and get into our tickets, kind of big news the last couple of weeks we haven't really touched on yet, and that is with the evolution and how golf betting and sports betting is evolving. The PGA Tour has announced that they're going to build a brick and mortar facility, sports book, at TPC Scottsdale in Phoenix. And that's going to be amazing when it's done, and you'll be able to walk in, place bets on site, and then go out and watch your players that you bet on. How cool is that?
That's cool. Yeah, it's very cool. Perfect place to do it, too. It's such an atmosphere. TPC Scottsdale, you're looking at, 700,000 people probably going to be going through the door when they go back to capacity. So, there's no shortage of alcohol there. People having a good time.
No doubt.
Big outdoor cocktail party. And, now you can go and put a few bucks down on your golfer. Let's hopefully that everyone does it responsibly. I'm sure, right? They'll all do it very responsibly.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't they? I mean, I can't think of any reason why they wouldn't.
But yeah, it's the next step. I mean, we're seeing it. It's coming. The buzz now here in Florida, that things are going to get approved here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's exciting times, and I feel like we're out in front of it. We got a great show. We'll build on it, and we'll help people enjoy, make a few bucks along the way.
No doubt. People like cashing. I love when you reach out to us on Twitter and say, hey, I played this pick with you. I played that pick with Travis. We always love that because we put a lot of time and effort into our picks. So with that being said, let's now spin it forward. This will be the last event in Florida this year. Normally in years past, Trav, the Valspar has been part of the Florida swing, but because of how the schedule has changed, because of COVID, a lot of different reasons, it is now in this spot in the PGA Tour schedule. Now, only 10 times in the history of the PGA Tour has a player won back-to-back-to-back at a particular tournament. The likes of Nicklaus, Woods are part of those names. Paul Casey could join that list if he can do it this week. Two-time defending champion at the Valspar.
Wow. Wouldn't that be something, right? Paul Casey goes 3 in a row here. He loves it here. There's some other guys. Justin Rose, he's playing this week. He loves it here. DJ, I think, enjoys this place. T6 last year. It's cool to see Justin Thomas back. He hasn't played here since 2017. The thing with this place, of course, is tough. I mean, it really is a test. Innisbrook Resort, Copperhead is the name of it. Plays about 73.5, somewhere in there. Par 71. You got the 5 par 3s, which is kind of unique, to a golf course. But it's a golf course that when you play it, it's long, but it's tough off the tee. There's not a lot of room. It's tree line. You better hit the ball straight. There are some holes where you can kind of take the driver out, maybe hit a 3-wood down there, sting an iron, those kinds of things. But you gotta keep it in front of you for sure. You start spraying it here, you're going to be penalized. I think it's, it can be tough into the greens. I think once you're on the greens, though, very fast, difficult greens. Short game, I think you got to elevate here a little bit more. Sometimes, you'll hear me talk and I'll kind of not completely devalue short game, but I think short game means more on certain courses. I would bump it up here a little bit. I would bump up the strokes gain off the tee here a little bit. We know approach is always up there in the stratosphere. We know putting is right there with it, but I think you got to bring up that strokes gain off the tee, the strokes gain around the green. You really kind of do need to be that complete player here. And you go back to Paul Casey, as you mentioned, he's won kind of 2 different ways here. The first time he won it back in 2018, he was negative, actually, strokes gain off the tee. It was like negative 0.2. Strong in approach, though, +5. Strong in around the green, +4.6. That's a big number. And then strong in putting, +3.5. The next year, 2019, he goes +3.5 off the tee, +4.5 approach, +3 around the green, and then 0.4 in putting. So, kind of, one, it was more the driver. The next year is more the putting, but very strong approach, very strong around the green. It just kind of speaks to me that you kind of need a little bit of everything here. You got to have a strong game, 14 clubs, because Copperhead will challenge you.
Any course in Florida, especially this, and we talked about a lot during the actual Florida swing, but there is so much water in the state of Florida on all these different courses, which is why the iron play is so important on almost every single one of these courses. And certainly when you're talking about Innisbrook, you've got to be dialed in. And you look at the likes of a Jordan Spieth a couple of years ago, Patrick Reed has finished high, Adam Hadwin, Paul Casey, all these guys. What do they have in common, Trav? They all are really good iron players. And that's what does well here. Now, there's the occasional outlier, certainly, but when you look at it, it's really good iron play. So for those people playing at home, if you don't want to play the matchups we give out this week, certainly take the information and then apply it to your own bets at whatever your book might have. But this is one of those courses, Trav, that when you look at it historically, a lot of the same names tend to pop up. It's a course that has horses. I don't even know if I said that right.
Horses for courses.
Yeah, horses for courses. And this is one of those, I believe, one of those courses you can look at past performance and say, okay, I kind of have an idea of where I want to start. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there's, I kind of went through it there with my model. I don't think you can afford to be too negative in one area, though. I think sometimes, like, you can kind of get away with maybe a certain part of the game. Like I talked about, strokes gained short game, you can kind of move down a little bit on certain courses. Like there's other courses where it takes the driver out of your hand. So it's harder to overpower those courses where that stroke gain off the tee might be a bigger benefit on other courses where you can really get the distance down there and just free will it like we see a lot of these big hitters. I think the point of that 18-19, when you look at Paul Casey, is that there wasn't really any weaknesses. Now, there was a couple, like in strokes gain off the tee in 2018, he was only 0.2, but he wasn't a dog, right? He wasn't spraying it all over the place. He was keeping it in front of him, letting his approach game go to work. If he did miss it, sharp short game and good putting. And then the next year, his putting wasn't red hot, but he wasn't a dog, right? His ball striking, he was putting for a lot of opportunities and didn't make a big mistake off of the tee that year. So I think you have to have all 14 clubs here working for you. And I think given that, you start kind of whittling down the guys that I think can do well here. Yeah. So I think to your point, kind of backing into this, yeah, I think some course history here certainly plays into it. We've seen Casey do well. We've seen Adam Hadwin, who's kind of that player that, good driver, good iron player, solid short game, okay putter, nothing real negative, right? Same thing with Patrick Reed. He's a guy that's done well here. You look at him, always statistically, it's like, what really stands out statistically? His putting, his short game, but then his ball striking is always like, 0.5. 1.2 positive. Doesn't really stand out. But point is, it's not -3. He doesn't have that major weakness here. Same thing with Spieth back in 2015. So yeah, I'm looking for all 14 clubs. I really am. I'm looking for all 14 here to do well.
Oh, as you mentioned, there's a lot of big-time names that are playing this week. There's also a lot of young players that are coming in on sponsors exemptions. And we're really now getting to the part of the schedule where starts are going to become limited for a lot of players. FedEx Cup points are going to become extremely, extremely important for a lot of players. So you're going to see guys really start to ratchet up their schedules, and we'll be here every single step of the way for it. So with that being said, let's jump into our picks for the week. Last week, we cashed 4 tickets here on the show, including the winner. And this week, our winners fall in that plus 2,800 to plus 3,000 range. So if we hit this week, it'll be a nice little payday for you $100 bettors. Were you getting ready to say something, Trav? I felt like you were. You're just getting ready. Okay, here's what we do. We want you to play at home, and you can send your picks in to Twitter at SportsPub Media. We want to see what you're playing as well as we start to really get into our competitions later this summer. We pick 2 head-to-head matchups. We pick a top 20, a tournament winner, and then a wild card play, which can be anything on the board that we want. So, Trav, it is time. Let's go. Head-to-head matchup for the 2021, thank goodness it's back, Valspar Championship.
That's right. I'm going back to the well here. My boy, it's time to get back on him. Sam Burns, minus 103 over Gary Woodland. I'm not sure where we're at with Gary Woodland's game. You talked about horses for courses. This is not one for Gary. He hasn't played good here. He's missed a cut the last 2 years. I just look at him. I think he's still kind of going through some changes with Justin Parsons, his coach, approach game, middle of the pack, around the green, middle of the pack. But his driving, bottom of the pack, and his putting, bottom of the pack. Not a good, kind of mix here coming into this type of golf course. Sam Burns went through a tough stretch there. We were big on him early in the year. He was playing great. Missed the cut at Arnold Palmer, missed the cut at the Players, missed the cut at Valero. But I think he's rebounded. He looked good at RBC. I thought he looked really good last week at Zurich. Shot 64 on his own ball on Thursday with Billy Horschel. I think he's back. I think you're starting to see now that driver is becoming a weapon again. We know he can go in the approach game. His putter's the only question mark for me. But I just felt against Gary Woodland, we're in the South here. I think Sammy Burns is right at home, and I think we'll handle Gary in the head-to-head.
I think this one could be over by Friday. That's how bad I think Gary Woodland is playing right now. I think part of the reason, Trav, that Sam Burns struggled through that portion that you just highlighted is because I think he started to feel the pressure because these guys do have eyes. They do have ears. They know when people are starting to pick them in fantasy and bet on them. And I think that can affect the player and also expectations on the PGA Tour as well from your peers. And now he's taking that next level up. And I think now he's accepted it. He owns it. And now his game is way more stabilized. And I think it really helped him to have Billy Horschel as a partner last week. So he could just go out and play, and Billy would handle all the interviews, the talking, and be the mojo for that team. And I think he liked that a lot. I really, really do.
So yeah, I mean,
like
he certainly looks more right now like he did earlier in the year when we saw him finish third in the Genesis. So I think he's starting to turn that way again.
No question. No question. I like that one. I think we'll take that straight to the pay window. My first head-to-head matchups, and I love this one. And people may call me crazy because, yes, he's played here well. DJ, a couple of years ago, if it wasn't for a final round 74, he would have won this golf tournament. But I just don't think right now he's playing very well. I don't think he's hitting it well. I don't think he's putting it well. I don't think his irons are very good for him. And I think Justin Thomas, whenever he posts a video, Trav, at Medalist, and he starts talking about his calves, I'm in. I'm all in. I'm all in. And I feel like JT is motivated. He hasn't been playing well himself. And he's one of those guys that loves to flip the switch. He understands that people show up to watch him play. He understands that people pay money to watch him play, and that matters to him. And those are the kind of players that I like to back. So you give me JT minus 130 over DJ. That's my play number one.
Yeah, I almost went the other way with this pick. I kind of stayed away from both of them because I think DJ's on his way back. I think he played better last time we saw him. His driver's a little better. His putter has been a little better. But I think he's on his way back, to what we're used to seeing from DJ. I just worry about JT's driver. That's the only club I worry about here on this course.
I agree with that. I agree with that assessment. When he has his loose balls, that can lead to a 6 or 7. That's the only thing that scares me on a course like this, is that there could be a couple of triples thrown in there, and that could really curtail the entire week. I hope that doesn't happen.
He could shoot 75 here. He
Easily.
Starts spraying that driver. Yeah.
Or he could shoot 65 if he gets it dialed in. So.
Yeah, he gets the driver in front of him, his iron game, off he goes.
Boom, boom. All right, play number 2, head-to-head for Mr. Travis Fulton. What do you got?
Well, let's keep the train going. Charlie Hoffman, he's been good to me. Minus 125. Feel like a broken record sometime. Just saying, people, Charlie Hoffman, one of the most improved players in the game, playing great golf. He was paired with Nick Watney last week. What in the hell are you doing, Charlie? Anyway.
that just screamed of we just put 2 players together. That's all that did. You're like, we got Charlie, we got Nick. You guys, all right, you're gonna play together. That's what it felt like to me. But they played pretty well for most of the week. They did.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. They played okay.
Yeah, Charlie's playing. He's really
playing great.
He's really playing some great golf. His approach game, I think, is as good as it's been. I think off the tee, the added distance, you can see it playing out around the green, putting solid. Again, just there's no real weakness here for me with Charlie. It feels like all 14 are working. You take these guys head to head. Who's the better player right now? Charlie Hoffman, Bubba Watson off the tee. I go Charlie. I think, Bubba's a little bit longer, but Charlie's not short. I mean, he's over 300 now. Approach game, Charlie. Around the green, Charlie. Putting, Charlie. I mean, it's, to me, through the bag, as I mentioned in the intro, like Charlie Hoffman's, I think, the better player throughout the bag than Bubba Watson. Bubba played pretty good here last year. I think he did some okay things last week as well with Scotty Scheffler, probably the most surprising team to me last week. But I don't know, man. This feels like a good place for Charlie too. He's on a good run. This feels like another spot where he could, he could easily get in there in another top 10, top 20 type of finish. Has a special week. Who knows? Be up there late Sunday to have a chance to win.
This is a great place, Trav, for us to educate because we live on we want to entertain, but we also want to educate. And a lot of people and fans that follow us, I think, get it misconstrued that when we pick a head-to-head matchup, we think that player could win the golf tournament. Yeah. That's not always the case. All you have to do, which is why I truly believe, if you want to consistently make money in golf betting, it has to be through head-to-head matchups. Yeah. If you try to make a living on top 20s and winners, you will go broke. And this is a perfect example of that. We don't think Charlie, at least I don't think Charlie will win. I do think that he could finish top 20. And if that's the play, then do I think that Bubba Watson can finish top 20? I do not. And I don't believe that you do either. And that's what you have to start thinking about when you're putting together these head-to-head matchup picks.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, I think that's Charlie top 20, yes. Bubba top 20, no. But I do think Charlie, I would put Charlie in that win category. I think he's, I do too. He almost won in Texas behind Spieth, who was just on fire. He was, no question, the second best player there. And, he's got a nice run of tournaments here where he's been up there. Just that little slip up once in a while where he kind of goes to sleep and, he just needs to eliminate those one or two little mistakes. And that's the difference, I think, in perhaps getting another win for him.
Absolutely. Just for people to understand how I do it, I put a whole bunch of names and limited them down to guys I think can win, and then I go off of that. Charlie, as Travis said, is in that category that if he went out and won this week, nobody would be surprised.
I don't think so.
So I love this head-to-head matchup. Yeah. My second head-to-head matchup for the week, I'm going to go to a former champion, and Travis has already mentioned his name on the show today, and that's Adam Hadwin, -115. Denny McCarthy, nice dude, great putter. However, he just doesn't show up very often. When he showed up at the Honda Classic, I was as surprised as anybody that he stayed competitive for the first 3 rounds. I think because of that last performance, this number is where it is. This should be, in my opinion, more along the lines of -140, -150. So, Trav, I've only got to lay 15 cents to get a former champion on this course, a guy who plays well a lot of the time against a guy who doesn't. I'll take that all day. Adam Hadwin, -115.
Yeah, Hadwin certainly likes this place. When he won here, man, it was a ball striking exhibition. I think he won at 14 under. I think he was 14 under in 2017, which has been the lowest.
It's crazy.
By far in the last, I think, 5 or 6 years. So, so he's coming back to this place, can win. Of course, Brooke Henderson on the LPGA Tour, Canadian won. So why not just keep the Canadian thing going here this year? Corey Connors may have kind of gotten his attention a little bit as the top Canadian player right now. So maybe Hadwin's feeling a little motivation. I do like McCarthy. He's the best putter on tour. It's interesting. Like sometimes when you look at players, you're like, man, they can hit it, but they can't putt. Or with McCarthy, it's
the opposite of that.
It's more like, can he do enough in the approach game?
Yep.
And if he can do enough in the approach game, the dude can fill it up, especially on Bermuda. So you might be sweating that one out, Coach.
No, we'll see. We'll see. But I still liked it. Jumped off the page at me.
Yeah.
But this is golf betting. There's never a lock, so to speak. All right, let's move along to our top 20 play for the week. And I always like to find value, but also I don't mind laying a minus number if I think it's going to be a lock. What do you have this week?
Well, I really was impressed with Emiliano Grillo at the RBC.
Okay.
I thought it was like the most in control of his entire bag that I've seen him. Now, Stuart Sink, we know, won because he blitzed the field and played great. But Emiliano Grillo, to me, it goes back to what I just said. He's fantastic driver of the ball. He's terrific in the approach game. He can get a little bit clunky around the greens, and his putter can just flat out disappear, once in a while. But I think you're seeing a little bit of a nice trend here with Grillo with his putter. We were talking about when it was happening with Connors, like, putter's coming. It's coming. And I can kind of see some similar trends here with Grillo, in particular over the last 5 tournaments. 2nd at RBC, 6th at Corrales. He's playing some really good golf. I just get the idea that he's very, very confident with the wedges and the putter, more so than perhaps we've seen him in some time. And you get that to go with this +6, +7 approach game, which is not uncharacteristic to see from Grillo, because the dude will put on an exhibition like he did at RBC. Watch out. I think +188, top 20. Let's keep this thing going. I think another really good golf course for Grillo.
I also think some of the results that you just alluded to came on courses and in places of the world where the wind blows. And we know that in Florida, it doesn't matter where, the wind is going to blow at some point. So take that into consideration. I think those were great nuggets from you on Grillo, top 20, +188.
And he commented on my Instagram, so that was always cool. So that gets extra points for me.
I know you always love it when a golfer pays attention to you. And
it was funny. It was funny.
It was funny. I like when they have a sense of humor too. So many people take stuff so seriously. Stop it. So that was very cool.
Yeah.
Nobody, he's never responded to anything of mine yet. So, Grillo.
Well,
I've never posted anything about him, but he's never responded to any of mine. So you're one up on me there. Just like on winners, you're 2 up. All right, my top 20 play is another guy who plays well here. I know it's a minus number. But it's only -110, and I really like Patrick Reed this week. the last month or so hasn't had his A game, but this is the time of year for me where Patrick Reed really starts to ramp it up. He sees the Ryder Cup on the horizon. He sees the Olympics on the horizon. He sees the FedEx Cup now on the horizon. Now that we're getting ready to turn that calendar over to the month of May, we're now less than 4 months away from all of those things happening. So everybody's got to get their game in peak condition, and I think Patrick Reed will use this week to dial in those irons, really get the short game tight to lead into the second major of the year. I think he plays pretty well this week, top 20. Give it to me.
Yeah. I mean, he loves his place, right? This is a great spot for him. And it just fits the model of just, you can't be a dog in one of these areas, you know? He's just kind of right there. Nothing really jumps out of you other than the putting, and even a short game, strokes gained. He just, you know, it's like point, you know, it's like 0.8 positive, you know, and 1.2. And you look at him, you're like, he's a better short game player than that. His putting statistically shows the difference, but the rest of the game, it's always just slightly above average. But then he just hangs around, he gets in there, and you know he's a bulldog. You know,
he's a grinder, baby. He's a grinder. Yes.
He's not coming back to you. You know, he's going to keep going forward. So yeah, I like Patrick here a lot.
All right, very good. Now we're to the spot where last week, if you listened to us and used the information, we had a first place finish from Trav. I had a T3, so mine wasn't too shabby. What do you like and who do you like this week?
For the winner, I'm going to go. It's time for Scotty Scheffler to get that first win.
Boom.
Yep. Boom. And I like the odds 30-1 here. You know, Scotty, again, I go back to this model of, I don't want any weaknesses here. I want to be able to operate all 14 clubs just, you know, above the average here. I need to be positive in strokes gained. And, you know, off the tee, we know Scotty's fantastic driver of the ball. I mean, he's long and he's accurate. So I love that. Approach game. He's not the best approach game player in the world, but he's very good.
Yes, he is.
He can get going with his irons. Not the best around the green, but he's very good. You know, positive 1.5 around the greens. Not the best putter, but he's very good. Positive 1. So I love this spot for Scheffler. This is his first time here. He's got to be licking his chops. This is a great spot for him. If he brings his A game, he will be there late on Sunday. This is a great spot. I feel like I could go back-to-back weeks.
I would hate that, first of all. Second of all, however, Scotty Scheffler is on a very short list of players that at any point can turn it on, and we saw him shoot a 59 last year during the FedEx Cup playoffs. He's that good.
Oh, yeah.
And at some point, he's going to turn it on for all 4 days or 3.5 days, and it's going to be enough to enter the winner's circle. I, however, hope that it is not this week, because my selection to win is also another dude who very quietly sneaks up on the leaderboard every single week, very quietly is stacking cash, but now needs to start raising trophies in the air. I'm going to go AA, and I'm not talking about Arn Anderson of the Four Horsemen. Love him. I'm going Abraham Answer. Plus 2,800. Cash me a ticket at plus 2,800. The reason I picked him, because I can't go with the pick that I wanted to. That's Paul Casey, because it's only happened 10 times ever. I can't bet on something that has only happened 10 times in the history of golf. And I can't bet on a plus 800 in JT. I can't bet on a plus 1,000 in DJ. There's no value there. So for me, this is the best value at the best number. So I'm going to go Abraham Answer.
Hey, it's time. You know, I think Answer's been a little overhyped. He had his time at the President's Cup. Like, he's a very good player, but it's time. You know, where's the next step now for Abraham
Figure
Answer?
It out.
I think he's showing some good form. I think he's going to get it done off the tee in the approach game here. I think the question probably with him and Scheffler will become, if they have a good putting league, you would have to think that with their skill set to the green, they'll be there, you know, it come in on Sunday. So, hey, I'm here for it. Let's see it, Abe. We're ready for the next step.
I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on both Scheffler and Answer. So either way, I'm going to be good. But I kind of hope it's mine. All right, let's go wild card. Our last pick of the show. It could be anything on the board. What do you like, Trav?
Well, this could be my biggest wild card yet.
Oh gosh.
across the board because Sam
What?
Horsfield,
What?
top 30 in the DraftKings Sportsbook.
Top 30?
Yeah.
I've
DraftKings
literally
Sportsbook.
I've literally never heard of that before.
Top 10, top 20, top 30, top 40.
Me. They have all those there.
I'm teaching you how to make money.
Thank
Pay
you.
attention. Let me tell you who Sam Horsfield is.
Give it to me.
He's from England. Okay. He plays on the European Tour. Last time you saw him, probably mainstay was 2019. Played in the U.S. Open. Played Arnold Palmer. I think he finished top 30 at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Hold on. He went to the University of Florida.
Okay.
Horsfield's got a place in Orlando. And yeah, he plays in the European Tour and he's won twice. And last week, he was 4th on the European Tour. So it is a bit of a long shot. Here he comes, young player. His game, he's long. Yeah, he's very long, 311 off the tee. And he is, Coach, very good putter and short game player. Okay, that's his strength. He's really, really skilled around the greens and putting. His approach game, probably not up to snuff. That scares the daylights out of me, but I don't need him to win. I just need him to come back to Florida where he's very comfortable, where he lives, plays golf in. He knows how to manage these conditions, the Bermuda and those kinds of things, the wind. And hey, why not? Maybe he wants to play a little bit more over here. This would be a good opportunity for him to start building that, make a splash in top 30. The kid can go. He's got the power game and he's got the putter and short game. Can he do enough with the irons?
I feel like the longer you talk, the more you're trying to convince yourself that you still want to go with this pick. That the longer you're like, he plays on the European, he finished fourth, but I don't think you believe it, Trav. I don't think you believe in Sam Horsfield. I do. I believe in him, and I'm only laughing because I'm watching you reach for reasons why you think you have to convince me. You don't have to convince me. I know how good this dude is because he's on at 3 a.m. I watch him at 3 a.m. all the time on the European Tour. I like him a lot.
Look at this name I had, and I crossed him out. Can you see that name?
Can't read it. What is it?
Denny McCarthy.
You're like, whoop, I really liked him, though, too.
I had him, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. Call it the wild card for a reason. I'm going to give you something to think about.
He does play well in Florida. I just was at an event with him 5 months ago. He plays well in Florida. That part scares me because he lives down there in that Jupiter area with all of those guys. Not too far, but drive over to the Tampa area. All right. I've just got to control myself now to that Sam Horsfield pick and a top 30. First time ever a top 30 play has been made on the show. I'm going to go back to a name we've already talked about, Adam Hadwin. Tickets, when you take them to the pay window, they don't care. If there's multiple names, they don't care what it is. They just care that they cash. That's all that matters. So give me Adam Hadwin. I'm getting it plus 275 for a top 20 play. I loved this number. I think he's a little bit undervalued this week because his play this year has not been that stellar. But if I can get almost plus 300 for a top 20 for a guy who's won here, knows this course, is very comfortable here, I'll take that all day. So I need Adam Hadwin to play well for 2 of my 5 picks.
Yeah, he's not playing horrible. He missed a cut at RBC, but he was 29th at the Players, 8th at the Honda, and then 23rd at Valero. So I think he's treading water. Top 20 feels like a stretch.
That's a great description. Treading water. Don't you think though, when Vegas sets these odds, it's always a recency biased. Mm-hmm. It's like if you played well last week, then the number goes way up. If you didn't play well just last week, the number comes way down, and they don't look at the history. I think they should look at 3 or 4 weeks as a trend. But sometimes you can get really good value if you know what you're looking for. And I think this week, Adam Hadwin has great value for a lot of different plays, depending on what you like to play. If you're a parlay guy, a top 20, everybody's different. But I think he's a pretty good play no matter what you want to play this week. I really do.
Yeah, no, he's a name that you have to certainly consider and is going to be in a lot of fantasy golf lineups. I would think top 30, top 20, maybe top 10. Not a whole lot of win tickets. Feels perhaps a bit like a reach for a Hadwin here. But hey, he hits the ball like he did when he won back in 2017. I'm looking at it right now. He was 14 under on this golf course. for
That's
4 rounds.
ridiculous.
That's playing some serious golf at Copperhead.
Probably in the 8 to 12 range is what's realistically the winning score because of how difficult it is. But we'll see. We'll see what happens this week. It's all about the wind. But that water can sneak up and grab you. All right, Trav, any final thoughts, sir?
No, I wouldn't say final thoughts. I would say just, appreciate Copperhead. It really is a tough animal, and you're going to be seeing tour players grinding off the tee here. That you're going to see a lot of fairways missed, and you have to get yourself in play here. You can't be spraying it all over the place at Copperhead. So I'm always excited to see a little more premium, maybe in accuracy off the tee, like a week like this. And then if you can get that ball in front of you and you're a really good iron player, well, then you can start going to work on this golf course. But like you said, the water, the wind, stay away from those double bogeys, because you start spraying it here and double can come into play pretty quickly.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel of a 77 or a 78, and your week is over very, very quickly. Do not forget to follow our incredible partners on SportsPub Media, on social media. Follow our YouTube page, because all the different content drops right in there. Turn on those notifications. You get cash out with the coaches. Trav, your podcasts, your other podcasts are on that YouTube channel as well. So you get all of it. And if you turn on the notifications, it will tell you when something new drops into that feed. All right? We've got you all set. We can't educate you anymore. Our job is done. Now we sit back and collect our cash.
Let's go, Scotty.
Let's do it. For everybody at Cash Out with the Coaches, our incredible partners, SportsPub Media, Samantha, Cody, my guy, Travis Fulton. I am the coach. Remember, this is the only place every single week that every time you cash out with the coaches. Good luck.
See you.